Happy Wednesday, Bethel Grove Bible Church. I hope this has been a great week for you, and it's a great week for me because I'm so excited to be here to give you this message today, because in this message today, I get to say, welcome back. We are looking forward to in-person services this Sunday, and I'm going to give you a little bit of detail about that and what that looks like and what that means, but I want to read a little bit out of a passage of Ezra for us today. And the reason why is that the book of Ezra opens up with the exiles, the Jewish exiles from Nebuchadnezzar's reign in Babylon, coming back. And Cyrus is given a word from the Lord to rebuild the temple. And so in the beginning of Ezra, we see these remnants. There's like 42,000+ of them coming back. But they're tasked with building the temple. And let me just read a little bit out of Ezra chapter 1. Starting at verse 2, "Thus says Cyrus, king of Persia, the Lord, the God of heaven, has given me all the kingdoms of the earth, and has charged me to build him a house at Jerusalem, which is in Judah. Whoever is among you of all his people, may his God be with him, and let him go up to Jerusalem, which is in Judah, and rebuild the house of the Lord, the God of Israel. He is the God who is in Jerusalem. And let each survivor, in whatever place he sojourns, be assisted by the men of his place, with silver and gold, with goods and with beasts, besides freewill offerings for the house of God that is in Jerusalem. Then rose up the heads of the fathers' houses of Judah and Benjamin, and the priests and the Levites, everyone whose spirit God had stirred to go up to rebuild the house of the Lord that is in Jerusalem. And all who were about them aided them with vessels of silver, with gold, with goods, with beasts, and with costly wares, besides all that was freely offered." I read that for two reasons. Number one, we see this picture of Jerusalem, or the temple being rebuilt in Jerusalem, the Lord's house. And while we are not rebuilding a physical temple here, we are in essence reimagining and reestablishing BG. It's hard to believe that it's been 6 solid months since we met as a church body in person last. The other thing that we notice in there, that because of this work, they knew that it would be costly, and so all kinds of people were donating goods and things that created financial means for them to be able to rebuild the temple. Well, we aren't rebuilding our building, but we are reestablishing the church, and part of that is the cost for us. The need that we have is in volunteers and volunteer time. You know, it takes about, as we're looking at the service and figuring out how to run the two services and all the different things that we're doing to try to meet the state guidelines and to open safely and to do it well, it's going to take about 25 people on a Sunday morning between the music and the AV and all that is going on. 25 volunteers to make that happen. That means over the course of a month, we're looking at about 100 people or so. And if that falls to just a small group of folks, it's not going to take long before they really start to get burnt out. And so what I'm asking you is to consider us in this place kind of like where this remnant that was headed back from captivity into Jerusalem to rebuild the house of the Lord. And so we have an opportunity to do just that here, to reestablish Bethel Grove. And so I want to ask you to consider volunteering. If you are able, recognizing that not everybody is going to be able to come back. Some of you simply because of health reasons, or maybe you just don't feel comfortable, and that is okay. We do not desire to push you beyond what you're comfortable doing. But for those of you who are coming, could I ask you to consider signing up to volunteer one Sunday a month, either as an usher, as a greeter, or someone who would clean. And so on Sunday morning, if you're able to come here, or next week, for the next month or so, we're going to have a list when you enter into the church where you can sign up to serve. And someone will get back in touch with you about that. It's really the only way this is going to happen. Without that, I don't see us really being able to open for very long, because it's going to be quite a strain on those who are volunteering right now. Speaking of volunteers, I just want to just take a moment and just give thanks to those who have been a part of the live streaming on Sunday morning. Some of these folks have been here every week for the last 6 months, volunteering, playing music or running sound or running the computer, running the camera. And it's been a small number of these folks that this has fallen to who've been willing to come. And so thank you. I'm not going to say their names because they probably don't wish their names to be mentioned. But they are grateful to serve, and we are grateful for them for their service. So that's my encouragement to us today, just to realize that this is going to take the whole church to reopen. So please prayerfully consider how you might use your gifts and how God has wired you to be a part of that reopening. Just a couple of announcements for you. I want to remind you that, and perhaps you have heard this in an email, but I remind you again, we have limited seating because we need to be socially distant. And so because of that, we have created, there's a link online on the homepage. It's called Reserve Your Seat. It's in a nice bright light blue. You can't miss it. And so if you go to the homepage, you'll be able to click on that. It'll walk you. It's very simple, very obvious and intuitive. And it'll just walk you right through reserving your seats for Sunday morning. And so we encourage you to do that. Every Monday, that's going to open up for that next Sunday, and so we invite you to do that. There's a room for both services, either service, whichever you'd prefer. I also want you to know that both of the services right now will be identical, and we're just doing that because we are just trying to establish being back in the building. And so even though on this Sunday, typically, we would have gone to 2 services out of the summer schedule of 1 service, this Sunday we'll be in 2 services, but they're going to be identical, just so we can get a sense of how to do this well. And then we're going to get data. We're going to learn and understand how things are going and what we can do going forward. And so that may change, but at this point, 9 o'clock or 11 o'clock, whichever you prefer. And even those times may change. We may find that we have more time in between those 2 services than we need. So flexibility, fluidity. If you remember the very first message I gave way back 6 months ago or so, I talked about how this would be a fluid situation, and here we are, still in a fluid situation. The final thought I share with you is there will be no childcare or no children's programming, no youth programming, no adult education, at least not for the near future. And again, we're trying to reestablish being back in church. Once we figure that out, we'll figure out the different ministry opportunities that are going to happen on a Sunday morning. So just let you know that. Your families, you are welcome to bring your kids. These are family services, and we understand that what it's like to have kids in the service, so you don't have to be uncomfortable if your kids are less than perfectly quiet. It's okay. We're happy to be back together. So that's about what I have for you at this point. Please go to the website, reserve your spot. If you're still at home, we are live streaming, and there's a link right there. It takes you right to the YouTube page, same place we've been streaming all along. And so either way, we look forward to worshiping together this Sunday morning. Lord bless you.